Today I'd like to talk about the Crawlmaster 2-in-1 drag brake feature. Not only the auxiliary portion of it, where you can control it with a third channel, but also how it functions and what to expect from it.
With that switch from crawl to crawl.
So the first thing I'd like to open up with is that the Crawlmaster 2-in-1 does not have a hold brake feature. It only has a drag brake feature. So the active hold that you may be used to with something like the Fusion is not exactly how it works. However, if you would like a hold brake function, comment down below and we can actually make an update that'll add it. However, I must add that a hold brake will increase the heat on your system and it'll also burn battery. Anytime that you're trying to get the rig to hold a certain position and not free coast, at least versus normal drag brake, a passive drag brake, it's going to burn some energy. So that's why I didn't include it on the initial release of firmware. So if you want it to just absolutely hold on a hill, you let me know. We'll have a special firmware that we can release, and then if you don't like it, you can always roll back to the old one. So let me show you what I really mean by that. This rig is currently already turned on, and I have, let's see, we're in second gear, which is geared really tall, and I do have drag brake fully enabled right now. And sign mode, let's make sure. Yeah. So we're in crawling mode, essentially. Now, what you may notice is that it is actually rolling. Even though we have 100% drag brake on here, since there's not a hold feature, it is rolling. And the reason why it's rolling is because I'm in second gear. So there's a few things that will affect how much your rig free coasts or rolls when you're just sitting in neutral like this. The gearing of it is a really big thing. The weight of it is a really big thing. And then also your incline, the height of your tires, essentially the rollout of your rig, and how freely it coasts back and forth. So as you can see, in second gear, I can just kind of push it around. If I go to first gear, it barely coasts. And when I'm actually on the rocks, is it going to free roll? More than likely not. In first gear, I don't have any issues with free coasting with this. And as you can see, the tires are actually slipping in most cases. But if you do something like put your foot on it and you push the rig like this, yeah, it's gonna free coast some. That's gonna be normal with this. When or if we enable the hold feature on that, it can hold more, but again, it's just gonna create some heat and it will be at a disadvantage of your runtime. So there is that. Now, let's also go over some of the issues that you may have with smoothness or the auxiliary or anything like that. We've had some reports of people plugging it in, using the auxiliary, and hey, it's not smooth, or hey, my drag brake's not working like I think it's gonna work, and there's a few issues that this could be. So I am going to power cycle it. We're gonna take out the auxiliary and we're gonna put it back in. If you're having issues with your drag brake and you're using the auxiliary channel, this is the first thing that you should try. So we take the auxiliary plug out, we boot it back up. It's going to be in normal 100% drag brake mode. And actually, I'm getting more drag brake now than I did with the auxiliary plugged in, so that tells me that I should probably change the endpoints on my radio here. Now let's try it again. I'm gonna plug it back in. We're going to power cycle, and we'll see if that drag has changed any. What you want to make sure is that your endpoints, yeah, so my drag is actually a little bit less now. What you need to make sure is that your endpoints are set to 100% for your EPAs, both forwards and reverse. If you go any less, you're not going to get full drag on here. And if you go any more, the auxiliary channel may not function properly. Another issue which could be giving you problems with your drag brake and your smoothness is that you don't have that channel defined on your radio. So what is your radio going to do when you plug it in? What sort of signal is it going to give it? More than likely, it's going to give it the off throttle or off drag signal. And this is what most people would consider not smooth driving. So if you are in essentially bashing mode, you don't get your drag brake, but you also don't get that sign startup, and you don't get throttle matching, because if you're bashing around, you don't want to hit an object and have the motor try to get through it. You can break a drive line, you can break parts doing that. So when it's in bashing mode, it's going to be unsmooth if you're used to something like the Fusion or any of my Outrunner products with the AM32, because it doesn't throttle match. And throttle matching hides a lot of stuff. We had one guy that showed a video and his rig's lurching as it goes along. Well, he didn't have his third channel set up. It wasn't in drag brake mode when he had his auxiliary plugged in, and he was actually seeing driveline problems. So it was lurching and then lurching and then lurching, and it was his drivetrain smoothness that was showing up. He unplugged it, it got into regular crawling mode, and suddenly everything was smooth again. So you'll actually find a lot of issues are masked with velocity loop mode, throttle matching mode, or the FOC. It's called many different things by many different companies. So be aware of that. If you're having smoothness issues, it's probably because you're in bashing mode. And if you unplug that auxiliary and suddenly things are smooth again, you do have to reboot your system for it to reset, then that tells you, hey, it's the radio. That's what we're looking at here. So that pretty much covers all cases of what you may see, the issues you may have, and what to expect on this. So the biggest thing is that more than likely your auxiliary controlling channel just isn't giving you full drag brake because it's not giving the proper signal on there. Again, we do like this and it's rolling some. I unplug it. Let's see if it doesn't change. We've got a cycle our power here. And now, yeah, it's pretty much locking up. And I can force it to move even without that hold, but there's a lot of drag. Like, you'd have to have a really heavy rig. You would need to be in second gear, some really tall rollout for it to actually roll much. So that's why I was hesitant about having the hold feature on there, is that it just creates more heat. And with a properly geared crawler, you really don't need it. But I understand you're probably used to certain things if you're running a Fusion. And although I'm not trying to replace the Fusion with my product, I understand if that is a feature that you want, and we can have that as a special firmware. So, I mean, this is even in second gear, and it just barely rolls. When we get back into first gear, and yeah, there we go. So that showed me that I need to actually change my EPAs on here, but I'm also doubling up with my lockers, my diff locker. So if I change the EPAs, it's going to change that. So really what I need to do is start using a radio that has more channels so that I can control that drag brake on just that channel alone. And again, you just want your regular signal to be 100% EPA from one side to another. We're looking for a signal that is 1 millisecond to 2 milliseconds total, and anything in between is going to be a change of your drag brake. And if you're at the minimum end, I believe it's 1 millisecond for bashing mode. It may be 2. Don't quote me on this. I'll have to look. You get into bashing mode. When you get to the far end, you have no drag brake, you have no throttle matching, and you also have a double pump reverse. So let's just look at this double pump reverse. Oh, did I go the wrong way? Oh, I have the auxiliary unplugged. It won't work if it's not plugged in, obviously. So, well, you've seen me on other videos talk about the double pump reverse. So there we go. If you do have any questions about the drag brake and the auxiliary modes in particular, you post down below. And again, if you want to see the hold brake feature, you post down below for me so that I know you want to see it, and we will create that custom firmware for you, and you can play around with your heart's content. What I will do is only have that hold mode enabled at, say, the top 5% or 10% of the rock crawling mode, and then as you decrease your drag brake, it's going to remove the hold feature, go through normal drag brake mode, and then we're going to go into basher mode, because I don't want that hold on all the time. I want you to be able to go down a couple clicks and get rid of that hold if you don't want it to hold on a hill. So that's what we'll do. Again, any input, please leave it down below for this, because that really helps us out. And in the meantime, thanks for tuning in. Have a great day.
When we flip that switch from crawl to brawl, we rev up the motors, ready for it all. Now we're crawling through the rocks, over mountain tops, crawling and brawling. We're the kings of the track, living life to the fullest, ain't no turning back. From the pace of the crawl to the thrill of the brawl, we're gonna tear up the rocks. We are having a ball. Flip that switch from crawl to